definitely feels stiff. Not quite as stiff as maybe Fallout 3, but probably closer to Fallout 4. One thing I really liked about Apex was that you could not only set the sensitivity, but you can set the sensitivity on a curve. So as you can make it more sensitive as the analog stick is further away from center, or you can make it more sensitive. Yeah, you can make it more sensitive as it's further away and less sensitive as it's in. So you can kind of have a curve of how quickly you're turning, so you can do some fine precision things if you move it a little bit and stuff like that. This doesn't have it. It's just a flat, this is how sensitive it is. And you can definitely feel it, where sometimes it's like I'm trying to get a beat on a guy and it's just kind of like, you tap it and it's like, and it feels like it's set to move like 5 pixels with each tap, and you're trying to like really get it on. And sometimes that can be annoying. And of course, obviously the other alternative is to set the sensitivity up higher. But the problem is if you do that, then when you turn so slowly. So that's not an optimal solution either. So I would like to see more sensitivity options for aiming. But other than that, it's good. It does drive me a bit nuts, though, that the fact that there is no jump. I've been playing games with jumping for so long that in this one I'm like, okay, let's jump. I can't.
Yeah.
Okay, no, it's like definitely Assassin's Creed, and I had to get used to that when we redid that. So, but yeah.
It's okay. It's not like shooting is the heart of the game anyway.
No, shooting is the heart of the game, and the shooting is really, really good. And like Antoine said, I absolutely love the what do you call it? The customization, because I've definitely gone the route where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna, with my rifles, I don't care if they reload fast. I want power and maybe some silence ability on it, and that's it. I don't care about control. I'm not even really sure what mobility is. What is mobility? Is that like how quickly you can turn with it, or?
Or how quickly you can
Switch
move while
weapons.
aiming?
Oh, could be move while aiming as well.
Okay.
That's what I thought, but
Yeah, I wasn't really sure what mobility was. So the other ones made sense to me, but
the
yeah.
control must be the shaking.
Yeah, control is the shaking. Yeah, because I had one gun where even without the holding your breath thing, it was still super 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 stable. And now I've upped it to a really powerful gun with really long range, and but actually quite quiet. And that one, I'm having a lot of fun with that. But that's got a lot of shake, so it's always fun because you're like, bam, bam, so it's slow, but it works, and it's actually quite silent. And so I was playing it again some last night. So I have finished the first 2 missions on solo, and Kree and I got maybe halfway through the first one on multiplayer. And the second mission, like, I'm kind of with Antoine, where the missions, I don't necessarily think they're too long, but there are certain things that make it really odd. The first mission was okay, but the second mission, you're trying to get into the chateau and steal some information. And basically, I got to the entrance, and there were some trucks that drive by, and there's like kind of a field. And I got in some tall grass, and I shot a couple guys, and then for the next 20 minutes, it's just dudes running into this field and me just picking them off. And that's just like 20 minutes of me just like, it's not even hard. It's just kind of like, it's just 20 minutes of me. Like, I'm like, how many dudes, they sent the entire army after me? And they did that. And then finally I got through that part. So the only people left are the dudes in the chateau itself. And I kind of worked my way around the back, and then I kind of got caught. And then, I was sitting there marking dudes for a while, and I had at least 12, 13, 14 dudes on the screen at a time. Like, there was like a literal army after me. Took them out, and then it was just like 5 dudes left in the house. I like basically just the waves that were sent after me ended up taking out every single guy. And in just 2 waves, they sent everything at me, and then it was just me rummaging through the house. So that was a bit crazy. There. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened there, but I do like the fact that when you mark guys, it'll give you a little description of them. So it'll say like,
Always,
yeah, Kurt blah 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 makes the best cupcakes in Germany. He knows this because his mother told him so. And that was a literal one that I saw yesterday, and I kind of had to laugh at it, so yeah, it's kind of a funny little thing. And I don't even know why they included it, because it's like, how could you possibly know this from looking at them through binoculars? But
it was the same in Step 4, but it's quite fun.
yeah.
Some guys like, Well, I'll kill him anyway, but oh.
Yeah, it's not disruptive, but because it's just kind of there in the corner, but it's a nice little touch, and it
Yeah,
is
some of them are
entertaining to
very
see
fun.
some of these guys and their inner thoughts, and like
I
loves to
had
write
one of the
poetry
guys.
about kittens and just random things.
One of my guys was he befriend the local workers, makes them talk shit about his superiors so he can denounce them after.
Yeah, I saw one yesterday, and it was thinks he's gonna survive the war because a fortune teller told him he would die in 1989, and I'm like, oh, poor dude, I'm about to ruin your day.
Nice.
That one I felt a little guilty about. I was like, should I let that one go? Just like kill everyone else and let this one guy survive. But
I wonder if it's computer generated for each little line.
Sure, it must be. They must have added like some used like a GPT-3 or some other like text generating solution and then plug that all into.
yeah,
so-
I've looked, but I haven't seen any duplicates yet, so I don't know. So yeah, I'm looking for duplicates. I'm looking for another cupcake guy, and when I see that, I know that we've made it. But I mean, it wouldn't even be that hard to, because I don't think they randomly generate enemies. There's a set number of enemies each level, it seems. So I guess they just had one
So
person sitting there
many.
and they just typed up. But I mean, when you're, I think that's actually kind of the best part of that is that when you get somebody who's you're like, okay, we need you to type up 5,000 bios for these random German soldiers. After a while, that person's going to get bored, and that's when they're going to come up with the best stuff. So, like that's when you get things like he knows he makes the best cupcakes because his mom told him. Like, so I'm like, that's actually kind of in a way, it's funny because that's the kind of job that the angrier you get at it and the more tedious it becomes, the better quality work you're gonna do. So, but yeah, otherwise I'm enjoying it. It does feel a bit though. Having played a lot of open world games recently, it does feel very confined. Where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hop over this fence and I'm gonna cross this field, and it's like, oh no, wait, that fence I can't cross, but this one I can. So it does feel a bit constraining in your ability to traverse
Mm-hmm.
the
Yes,
world.
there's a lot of invisible walls. So
Yeah, so I have been noticing that if I hadn't been playing, Horizon Forbidden West and Death Stranding and all these other games back to back to back, then maybe I wouldn't have noticed it as much. But I have been. So.
And which difficulty you guys are playing?
I'm on medium. I'm on whatever the default is.
So just to remind people, medium means when you snipe, then gravity affects your bullets, but not the wind. Higher difficulty means the wind is taken into account. I haven't tried that yet, but apparently it's much more fun because it's extremely assisted. At least I don't know how it works. I'm sure it's the same on console, but on computer, when you aim with your sniper gun and you press the space bar, you have a little tracker showing you if you're gonna one-shot the guy or not. So there's not much suspense there. It's red, boom. You're just like, which organ did I shoot?
Yeah, I always go for the eyes. Yeah.
I'm trying to go. I'm training myself to shoot the testicles because there's a reward, a title for shooting Hitler in the balls in the Wolf mission DLC.
Okay. Yeah, I did notice that. I was kind of hoping. Yeah, I didn't notice there was no wind. I mean, I somehow I knew it, but yeah, I did notice that it shows you exactly where it was because I was like, okay, I'm gonna hold my breath, and I'm like, oh wait, it's not dead center. It's actually lower, and then I'm like, oh, it's telling me where the bullet's gonna drop. So that was a little interesting. But I did notice one thing was that on the right side of the reticule,
Heart?
whatever. No,
Reticle? Okay.
the circle with the crosshairs. On the right side, there's a little white bar, and the white bar tells you how much bullet drop you're going to get from the distance you're aiming at. So if you were aiming at a dude, and technically if you took that away, you can still look at where the white bar is dropped and then try to line up that white bar with the center line. So yeah, it might be interesting to try it with the wind turned on. I might have to try that just for the added thing, added thing. So, because in Apex, that was something I got used to. Was in Apex when you look at the the scope, it'll have notches in it, and each notch, and then the notch will have like a number next to it, like 2, 5, or whatever, and the notch will tell you how much bullet drop you'll get at a set distance. So like if the notch is 2, then that's how much bullet drop you get at 200 meters. And so I was kind of expecting something like that. And then when I noticed that this thing actually shows you exactly where it's going to land, I was like, oh, that makes my life so much easier.
Yeah, so many Nazi to kill. I need some quality of life here.
Yeah. For me, so the interesting fact is I connected to Adam's console, I guess, or
Yep.
Adam's hosted instance of the game. And I have to say, as my first cross-platform play experience, it was pretty good. Like no lag and no latency. It was pretty easy. Adam sent me his code through Discord, connected. Very cool. It worked well. I can definitely see that, the AA nature of the game, because just to remind people, on PC, this game was like $20 to $25, I guess, depending on exchange rates on PC. So you can definitely see, like Antoine and Adam already mentioned about the, like Adam and I were trying to rush up this like small hill and we couldn't do it because that is the nature of the game. And if you look at reviews, previews and reviews, up until the 26th, and after the 26th, most people sort of agree. Just like similar to 4 and 3 and 2 and 1, this is the kind of game like stupid fun game where you shoot people, you get cool kills, it makes good YouTube shorts or good TikTok videos. So really cool. And I would say the game has changed a lot compared to 4, because I don't remember like the RPG mechanics in 4 where you had skill points or gun, like a gunsmith idea in 4 either. It was still fun, but I can definitely see like when we were playing and Adam was missing shots, I'm like, yeah, that's I'm not a console warrior. Because with a mouse and keyboard, Adam was asking me like, why do you keep shooting people? I'm like, well, because I'm a keyboard and a mouse, so it's much easier to just wherever I am.
So much easier.
Yeah, I do have to definitely go slower because I'm kind of like, okay, okay, got it. So definitely it takes a little bit longer to aim. But they do have aim assist, but I don't have it on. It's turned off. So
that's totally fine. That's fine for me as well. So I'm just like, when we were playing, I'm just like, I'm letting Adam do the shooting, and if he makes a mistake, then I mop up afterwards. But it's still fun. Like I enjoyed it, and I can definitely, I hope that we can get everything can be cross-platform in the future, especially with like the Series X and the PS5 and whatever else comes in the future, because it was pretty fun. But yeah, really cool, enjoyable for me. I definitely will not play it by myself. Like I'll be playing with Adam. I told Adam, another friend of mine, because we're finishing Orcs Must Die 3 probably on Friday, and then from next week we'll be playing Sniper Elite 5 as well. So I'll be playing with Adam and then playing with him, and then like when we finish the mission, I guess I finish it twice. Then that will be it for me. But yeah, definitely worth the money. It's a lot, like the guys mentioned, a lot of enjoyment for like $20-$25 long missions. You don't have to do every objective, you just have to finish the main objectives and then you're done. But there's lots of like cool objectives, lots of sniping opportunities, lots of stuff where if you discover like here's the vantage point, you can sit there and do a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of flexibility in the game. It's definitely changed a lot on the hardware side. You guys might have noticed, like I told Adam on the stream on Saturday that I started off the game at 4K high, and then it was sort of it was tearing, I guess is the term. So I had to go down to 4K medium, and it might just be because NVIDIA released the latest drivers like 3 days before the game came out, and I didn't install them. So I'm going to install the drivers before I play again with Adam on Saturday and take it from there.
Yeah, and it's worth noting what Krian said too. If you are on the console, I'm assuming it's the same for Xbox. You can actually connect a keyboard and mouse, so you don't have to actually use the controller. I'm just stuck.
And just another last thing, which is quite fun with this, is a success. Oh, hello, you. You have a lot of little successes which are quite fun. So I'm gonna spoil one. In the chateau, you might see in the court a couple of cars, including one super nice, which is the latest car bought by Herr Müller. destroy it, and you got a little nice success.
Nice.
So there's one RPG around. So if you like, what I'm gonna do is you. Oh, there's a shiny car. Boom, success! You destroyed Muller's car. He's gonna be pissed. Yeah,
I saw that car. But yeah, I was
destroy
trying to
it with
sabotage it, but it
success.
wouldn't let me do that. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's just a set piece.
Nice. Okay. Everyone, so if you are at this point of the show, you probably know that we are going to talk about today's latest AAA or AA game. I think Adam's going to fill us in on what Soul Hackers 2 would be.
Triple.
Probably more. I mean, it's
Triple,
Atlus, but I don't know if I'd call it a AAA game.
So, yeah, I don't know. You can fill us in. So we're talking about this today. And this is something I know very little about, despite having read about it. And having read about it, I still feel like I still don't know enough. But Adam's going to fill us in on his usual first take, and then Antoine, and then myself.
Yeah, so there's very little given on actual story so far. If you go to, I think it's Atlus Tube, which is the YouTube channel for them, they have just a ton of videos that's featuring a bunch of the different demons that you can get in the game and giving you backgrounds on them and stats and whatnot. It is mostly in Japanese, but some of the videos have subtitles. Not all of them do. So you're gonna have to kind of go around and check those out. But basically, this is a sequel to Soul Hackers, which is part of the Shin Megami Tensei series. And the original one, I think, was the 5th game in the or maybe this one is the 5th game in the series. I'm not sure, but this is the first sequel in the series. So this is kind of like your like say Final Fantasy X2 or whatever, where it's a sequel to another game in the series where the series isn't necessarily all related. And basically in the original one, what happens is there's a company that creates this network, and the network is super successful. So Japan hires them to put it everywhere in Japan. And there's one guy who's a hacker who goes online, and he can basically, in this online world, hack into demons and whatnot. And the original one, you would go through labyrinths, and then you can meet demons, and you can fight them, or you can negotiate with them. And if you negotiate with them, you can basically somehow convince them to join your side. So you can do things like giving them gifts or having conversations or whatever. And if you convince them to have your side, then you can summon them in battle. And in battle, they have 5 different, basically, element types. So normally we're used to the 4 earth, wind, fire, and water. Those are the Greek elements. I don't know if they're following the Chinese elements or the Indian elements or which ones, but I know both the Chinese and the Indian have 5. Chinese is wind. No, there's not wind. Chinese is water, fire, wood, metal, and earth, and Indian is earth, wind, water, fire, and void. So I'm not sure which one, or if it's an entirely unique one. I don't know, but the demons all have their own affiliations, and there hasn't been too much on gameplay for the new one, so I don't know if they're going to follow this, but I would assume they would. But in the original one, what you can do is each demon has its own affinity, and it works really well with other demons of the same affinity, and other affinities it might not get along with too well. So the way you get them to work together is you have to build up their loyalty, and you can build up their loyalty by doing things that they like, or issuing them orders that they like, or you can have them auto attack and they'll do what they want. And so by doing these things, you can build up your affinity with them, and eventually you can combine them into newer demons. So you can take 2 demons, combine them together, get a more powerful demon, and that sort of thing. So it's got a lot of these kind of intricate mechanics on, putting everything together and getting everybody to work together. So that's really interesting. Now, in terms of story, I think you're going to get pretty much your typical JRPG. I don't think you're going to, in that kind of series, where it's not going to be kind of this grandiose thing like, say, Legend of Dragoon or something where you're scouring across the world. I think it's mostly going to be pretty much one overworld, and then, you're going through dungeons, and each dungeon you're going to encounter things in it. So it's going to be similar to a lot of recent JRPGs, like, was it Neo, The World Ends With You, or not technically it's a Taiwanese RPG, but what was that one I played a while ago? I can't remember the name anymore. But you know, like in there they had a hub world, and then you play in the hub world and you interact with people. You go to the restaurants, you eat, you talk to your friends, and then you go to the
Scarlet
dungeon.
Nexus?
No, not Scarlet Nexus. It was uh, Dusk Diver. Dusk Diver. I played that like
The Taiwanese game.
the Taiwanese game like right when we started, which was very similar to Akiba's Beat in a lot of ways. So in these games you have that hub world, you know, and you can go to different shops or whatever and talk to people that you know, and then you go into the dungeons and then you play the dungeon, then you go back to your hub world. You know, you're not spanning across an entire continent like you were in older JRPGs like Lunar or Legend of Dragoon or the older Final Fantasies or anything like that. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be more like that, but then it has a lot of these intricate mechanics in battle. They've done videos on introducing the new characters and some of the things that they do, and then obviously you can bring in the demons, and certain demons have different personalities as well. So you have ones that are friendlier and don't want to fight, so they would rather sit back and heal, and if you get them to heal and stuff like that, they'll be very happy. And if you tell them to attack or hurt somebody, they're not going to be too happy about it. And if their loyalty is too low, they'll actually either not follow your command and do something completely different, or they might even just sit there and do nothing. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how it is. And like I said, there hasn't been too much gameplay reveal yet. Mostly it's been featuring the demons. So I'm looking forward to seeing more story reveal stuff to see how that goes. Because I'm not sure how closely related it is to the first one either, because the characters are different. So yeah.
Antoine, what's your take?
So, as usual, I'll just go back to the basics first, because Shin Megami Tensei is mainly Japanese IP. It's out in the West, but it's not super famous. But just for you to know that this is the main title, and Shin Megami Tensei 5 was released in 2021. But this main title made a lot of babies that you would know, for instance, as Persona. Persona 5 is part of the Megami Tensei, and you can relate there. JRPG, demons, you're in the same universe, right? So here we are talking about Soul Hacker, which is part of the same franchise and same IP as Megami Tensei, Persona, all of this. And the first game was released in 1997, which is quite old because this
Very
is
old.
only the sequel in 2022.
Yeah.
Released August 26th, if there's no delay. Produced and released, and so created and produced by Atlus. All of these are made by Atlus and also produced by Sega, I think. Because
Yeah, this one's produced by Sega.
Yeah, exactly. Both Atlus and Sega, they need some money, I guess. So yeah, quite famous franchise, and we'll see what it comes out. But I never played first one, so I have no idea what it is really. So we'll see what it looks like. All this demon summoning really makes you think of Persona. All the graphic design made me really think it was a Scarlet Nexus 2. I just looked at the trailer like just before the show, like, that's very similar, eh? But Scarlet Nexus is not that old, so I'm not gonna say they copied on it. They need some time to release a game and to build it, so I would say it's just a coincidence. Music-wise as well, it's very similar. Graphic and music. If you liked it, it's very likely. If you like Scarlet Nexus, you will like this. At least this universe. After, in terms of gameplay, it's of course going to be very different. If you played Persona, you know that 90% of the game is text. So I don't know if Soul Hacker is going to follow the same pattern. But if you don't like to read, be careful. Just before buying it, pre-ordering it, check what you're getting into, because I know a lot of people who like, yeah, Persona is supposed to be fantastic, I'm going to buy it. And after reading for ages, like, yeah, no, I'm bored. So, it's for some people. It's not for Korean, for instance. Very likely I would like it. Korean won't. So just make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into before pre-ordering it. Released on PS4, PS5, Xbox, and PC. which apparently Korean was telling me, and indeed I didn't find it. It's not on Steam yet. There's no Steam page for this game. I don't know
They
why.
did say it was going to be released on Steam, which I thought was strange. It makes me think that this might be Steam might have been an afterthought, which is why they said yes, we're doing it on Steam, but maybe it's not going to come to Steam.
Yeah, maybe it'll be an
Maybe,
Epic
yes.
Games thing.
Maybe because you can already pre-order it, but I didn't check on which platform you could. But just Google it and you'll find it pretty easily. So yeah, that's it for me. I have no clue what it's gonna be, but I really tend to think it's gonna be a Persona 5 kind of game, which is good. You know, it's a very, very good game, so you can't go wrong there.
Yep. My take is, I mean, the guys pretty much explained everything. Technical details, I couldn't find too much. I mean, pretty much standard PS5 pricing. PC as well. Like on the Wikipedia page, it says, yeah, it's coming to PC as well, but or Microsoft Windows, as it says in Wikipedia, but there's no listing anywhere that I could find. If you Google Soul Hackers 2.
And maybe on the Xbox store, because now Microsoft does a lot of stuff through on PC.
That would be strange if they did it on Windows, but they didn't do it on Steam.
I don't know.
And Microsoft has said, right, like, that they're doing games on Steam. Like
Yeah,
that they're no longer trying for these solo routes. So that's why I think it's just this might have been like very similar to your aim issue on the PS5. Sniper Elite was just like, okay, we have X amount of budget. We're not going to optimize for aiming and use all the wonderful technical gadgetry the PS5 controller has, which is why the aiming sucks.
Witcher is another perfect example of that.
Yeah, and it's the idea of a lot of people are remote working, so progress and stuff is still quite slow. Not to mention a lot of people like to remote work, like myself. I don't want to go into an office ever again. So it's the way people do games and the time and stuff is even like The Witcher 3 is supposed to have like a next generation patch, and that's been delayed by like another 3 to 4 months. So I can imagine this is the case for this game. But yeah, like when it comes down to story games, you guys already know because you've been listening to me and Adam, and then me, Adam, Antoine, and with Phil as well when he was on Regulate. I'm not the biggest story person, despite like having heard about Disgaea. Remember how to say it again?
Antoine says
Disgaea?
Disgaea. I say Disgaea. I've heard people say Disgaea, so I don't know.
I will copy you guys, Disgaea. And I've heard about that, and I've seen Persona and Persona Strikers. I'm like, oh man, these games look so cool, and people always rave about them on YouTube and social media. But then after Antoine said it's just text, I'm like, no.
It's very standard JRPG in that sense, very traditional.
Yeah,
even more than most.
Like Dragon Quest Builders has a lot of text in it, but it's just you can just like press the button, skip all that stuff, right?
Oh yeah, you could just scroll through it, but you'd have no idea what's going on story-wise.
Oh, then I wouldn't care. But like I already given up on Dragon Quest Builders after hour 20. I'm like, I don't care what you guys are talking about it. And because it's one of those games where it's just like, yeah, you go here, do this, and it tells you, do it. And then the story behind it doesn't matter anymore. I'm playing for an hour. I don't care what you guys are talking about. Just if you tell me what to do, I'll just do it. That's fine. I don't need more than that. That satisfies me. There's no context for anything. That's okay. So, I mean, if that is the case, and when it comes down to story games, like, yeah, if I was to go on holiday somewhere for a week, I wouldn't mind a story game. But because I sort of limit myself to the amount of time I play games, I'm like, yes, I need satisfaction for my 1 hour. So that is why I don't like to do story like during the week or on the weekend, or basically pretty much anytime I'm not on like a long holiday. But yeah, Soul Hackers 2 looks really, really cool. Supposed to be coming out. I guess it's that's the funny thing. I don't know if you saw this, Adam. I saw videos on YouTube in Japanese about this, and like people were already playing it.
Soul Hackers 2?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about people playing it, but I mean, maybe it's already released in Japan. I don't think so. It says initial release August 26th, 2022.
Yeah, 2022. So I'm looking at it as well. But like when I was looking at YouTube videos, there was a guy in Japan, and he was like showing characters. Maybe he was like a developer.
They did do a live show where they basically had some people on a stage, and they were going through the game and going through the mechanics of the game and that sort of thing. So they did do a reveal where they had some people kind of discussing it. So it might have been an official thing from them themselves and not, influencers picking it up. But I don't know. Maybe in Japan, maybe they have some influencers going through it. Maybe.
It might have been because it was all like it was just I had written the English, and YouTube has come pretty good for like doing multi-language stuff. Even though the title is like not in English, the only thing that was there was just Soul Hackers 2, but it showed the game. It showed like demons and how you can merge demons together and like weird stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay, this looks kind of cool, kind of interesting. And yeah, I'm it's interesting. I mean, I'll wait for one of you guys to pick it up and play it before I decide like, should I play this or should I not play this?
I'd say probably not.
So like I said, I'm okay. Like I was playing Dragon Quest Builders 2 yesterday, and it was just basically I was building like a bar made out of silver, like a pub made out of silver, and it's the largest blueprint so far. And all in the meantime, while I'm building this bar, people come say, "Hey, Corinne, can you do this? Can you do this?" And they tell me this whole long story about why I should do this, and I don't care. I just be and build it for them and just get it done. That's all. I mean, so I'm enjoying it. But yeah, Soul Hackers 2. So we have to talk about the my poor scoring system that doesn't really quantify how good a game is or not, but it's just for some people who like to understand what we feel about it. Adam, so buy or not buy?
For me, I'm going to say this one is probably going to be a wait for a sale just because I do have quite a few games in the backlog that are actually somewhat similar. I still have Persona 5 sitting in my backlog, so I'm debating if I want to do that one next or if I want to do .hack Roots next. .hack GU. So I already have quite a few JRPGs in the backlog already. So in terms of buy, I would have to wait just because I already have similar games to play that I already own.
Okay. Antoine, what about you?
I think I will wait for feedback simply because I really love Persona 5, but it's much closer to me, and you can hate me for that, but for me it's much closer to a visual novel than an actual RPG game, in the fact that 80-90% of the game is text. And if you are Korean and you have 1 hour to play, you skip for 1 hour and you don't play much. There's no point in that. So this kind of game requests a lot of time, and you can't play when you're completely tired and down. So honestly, I don't think it's the kind of game I would do at the moment. Like right now, I have my Tales of Arise for the story, which is fantastic. I have my Sniper Elites to just disconnect my brain and shoot people. And that's more than enough for me. So honestly, I don't think I would. Simply also because I don't really like to buy sequel when I didn't play the first one because it's RPG, and even though you can certainly play second one without knowing the story of the first one, it's like what was it? What was the name? Adam helped me with the 2B and
Nier Automata?
Yeah, Nier Automata. If you play the latest Nier Automata, which was a fantastic game and everything, it's a good game, but you don't know what happens before in the previous opuses. And for me, for Korean, I'm sure it's going to be fine. But for me, not knowing the history of everything which is happening, that would really annoy me. Why is this guy as a moon face? I'm sure he has a very nice background, which was explained in previous games, and I don't know it. And why am I playing this resident? That's why I wouldn't play Mass Effect Andromeda before if I didn't play 1, 2, and 3 first.
Andromeda has nothing to do with 1, 2, and 3, though.
Of course, absolutely, you could, but I wouldn't because I'm a maniac like this. It's just like I need to know what I'm into, and I want these Easter eggs. I want to understand. I spotted that. Which I would have not spotted if I hadn't played the previous opus. So honestly, I'm sure Atlus, I'm sure your game is going to be fantastic. Likely not for me though. But who knows,
It's like that
We'll see.
meme online where it's like, oh, Final Fantasy 16 is coming out. Does that mean I have to play the first 15 games?
No. No.
For me, get it on a sale probably, because see, I have a bunch of JRPGs that I've started, like Ni no Kuni Two Worlds and Ni no Kuni The Witch's Wrath, or the White Knight.
Wrath of the White Witch.
Wrath of White Witch, yes. And I started, and I didn't have enough focus at the time to sort of finish it, or so I don't have an impression of like what a JRPG is, because I've seen Adam play them. I've seen friends when I was living in the States like 20 years ago. My roommate was a big Final Fantasy fan, so I watched him play Final Fantasy, and I understand it. I'm like, okay, this looks kind of cool, but I need to finish one to sort of understand, like, okay, this works for me. Like, I never liked roguelites before until I played. There's a roguelite on the Switch and PC. The name escapes me, but like that game, you just like, it's like the antithesis of the kind of games I like, which is like games that sort of give you a sense of accomplishment. Because like when you die all the time, that sort of frustrates me. But in this game, it's like, this is kind of fun because it's so randomized. You have like cool weapons and cool effects and cool builds. So this is get it on a sale if it's really cheap enough, because I do like cool art, even if I play the game for like 5 hours. And if I paid $5, okay, 5 hours, $1 an hour, that's cheap, no problem, I'll do that. Add it to the endless list of games. From what I've seen, what I've read so far, like nothing, like sometimes you watch trailers and you read descriptions and you get this like, wow, this is like a must buy, or this is an amazing game, I can't wait to play it. What I saw so far, and I watched the Japanese stuff, not understanding any Japanese, I would give it 7.5 out of 10, like good, but wait. I don't know what you guys think. If you had to put a number in it, what would you give it for your experiences and what you've read, what you've seen so far?
On a trailer? I wouldn't.
The trailer
I wouldn't
and
mark it.
text and what you've seen, like what you've experienced.
Rather than the mark, I would put it on a hype meter.
Okay, so
My
hype meter.
My hype meter would be a good 2.5, 3 out of 10.
Okay.
Because I'm really not waiting for it. Even
And
though it's gonna be a good
Yeah, and
game.
if I was doing it out based on hype, I'd probably say like a 5. Like I'm like, okay, this is, and the only reason I noticed is because it just kept showing up in my newsfeed over and over and over again. So my newsfeed just knows what I like. So it's just, you know, like this is the kind of thing you usually check out, and it just kept popping up, so it stayed on my radar. But yeah, it's kind of like, okay, you know, it looks interesting, but I got a lot of stuff to play. So if I didn't have so many games that I wanted to play, then it would probably be much higher. But the fact that, you know, it's just kind of like it doesn't pop out to me in the same way that, say, Horizon Forbidden West does, where it's like, okay, whatever you're doing, drop it and play this game. You know, it's more of like, if you're gonna buy it, you're just gonna add it to the backlog and then you maybe play it in 2 or 3 years. So no rush. You know, just why, if you're gonna do it that way, just wait for it to come on sale, and then you're gonna end up playing it at the same time anyway. So just, yeah.
True. Very, very true. Tomorrow, right, for our listeners as well, is Diablo Immortal is out on PC. Not out on mobile. So if you're interested in the mobile version on PC, PC players get it first, which is very weird considering it is a mobile game. But we get to beta test first, and it has all the loot boxes and all that wonderful, you know, microtransaction stuff that some people like, maybe. But yep. Oh. Something to keep in mind if you are looking for a game, and it is free, you don't need to pay money on the PC. So I'm going to wait for it to come out on mobile, like I said. So that's something to keep an eye out for. There's a whole bunch of other games coming out this week. Elder Scrolls Online has a new update. There's a bunch of like FPS multiplayer games, since Battlefield 2042 has died. What a waste of my $60. So that's something for you guys to keep out on. You know, we have to keep the trend going of Final Fantasy talked about every episode. So I looked up a list of the most underrated sequels, and they said Final Fantasy 13-2 is the most underrated Final Fantasy game ever.
13-2? Yeah. I've heard Lightning Returns is pretty popular. I've heard 13-2 is pretty unpopular. Even of the 3, I've heard that one's kind of the...
So on a list of 25 like most underrated sequels, number 20 is 13-2.
I'll see it. Well, how many were on the list? 20 of them.
25 games.
Okay.
The number one most underrated
All
sequel.
right. So when they're scraping the bottom of the barrel, they're like, okay, yeah, sure, we'll throw this one in. I've
So
always
it's
wanted
not-
to play 13. I've never played any of the 13s actually. That's one of the only ones I've skipped.
Antoine, did you play 13?
Oh yeah. Only Final Fantasy I couldn't finish because I was so bored. Terrible game.
It was in a weird spot where they were
No,
experimenting.
It's yeah, no, it's usually the Final Fantasy are fun because you get attached to the group and you like the group you are playing with. I hated them. God, Vanny is one of the most annoying character I saw in my life gaming, and that tells something. Like every 2 seconds. Ah, oh, the bird. Oh, shut it. Everybody's dying around you. Stop being so positive. I mean, nah, it's just no. I just don't like this game. And corridor games in general is not my style.
Yes, you've talked about this before. I remember on one of the episodes, maybe it was I was not on there, and yes, I remember I had gone to the DMV to pay a parking ticket. And I was listening to you guys talk about Final Fantasy, like an exclusive Final Fantasy episode. And Anton was talking about this before.
Yeah, the corridor.
Yeah, I remember. So next week, Fire Emblem Three Hopes is the title, right, Antoine?
Yay! That's a news to the show to have a Muso. We never did a Muso before.
Yes. God, as soon as you said Muso, I sort of blanked for a second. I'm like, no, I remember. Yes, you guys told me what a Muso is last week.
We'll explain it next week.
Yes, Muso, and then the week after that we are doing whatever the hell I chose, which I already forgot. But yeah, and then we'll keep you guys updated on Sniper Elite 5. I mean, with the way Adam's going, I think Adam will be finished in about a month.
We'll see. I mean, I've been playing it kind of because I just finished Death Stranding and I didn't really have anything else to do, so I was like, all right, I'll play a second mission. So I'm debating if I want to go through and play through that, or if I'm gonna focus on other stuff and just kind of pick that one up as, when I have like extra.
Sure. I mean, whatever works for you.
Yeah.
I'll only be playing with you and playing with my other friend, and then back to Dragon Quest Builders for me until eventually that runs out of gameplay, which I doubt it will, but we'll see. Okay, guys. So, guys, any final thoughts? Adam, Antoine, anything you want to mention about streaming, games, news items, anything you saw? Quick tips for people.
Not particularly.
Not yet. No, if we do quick tips, it's better to do videos about it because that's what works really on the channel.
Sure.
Yeah, no, not much. Just to mention that the Taiwanese internet issue seems to be resolved now, and Adam can stream 4 hours in a row without making 20 videos.
With the exception of this one video where my internet went completely out.
Of course, yeah. That's different. It's
a different,
different issue, but
that might be, I'm just wondering if that might be just sort of maxing out your upload, but I guess we'll find out next week when we do this again.
But I mean, when I use a VPN, it works, and when I don't use a VPN, it doesn't work. So I don't know what that's going on there.
You weren't using a VPN when we started?
When it started having problems, I was not using a VPN, and I had never used a VPN before that, or at least not for the show. And then a couple of weeks ago, when I did, I don't remember what, then I did the VPN, and it went the whole time, and there was no problem. And then after that, I tried it again without the VPN, had the same disconnecting problem, and then I've been doing VPN since, and no problem. So I don't know.
But today with the VPN, it crashed.
My entire internet went out. So
I mean, yeah, that might be something.
I don't think that was a VPN issue.
I guess I'm still curious next week to see how it goes. I still have to try streaming at some point. But Antoine's, of course, beautiful Canadian internet has no problems.
Never any problem here.
All right, guys. As usual, please don't forget to subscribe, follow us everyone on social media. Don't forget to check out Twitter and TikTok as well, where we post some of the juiciest clips from today's episode. Especially, they talked about the cupcake guy and German people and not shooting someone because they're expecting to die in 1989.
Oh, I shot him.
All right, so yep, Adam cut somebody's life short. He disrupted the flow of the space-time continuum.
He's a Nazi. They're not people.
Sure.
It's a video game. Disclaimer.
It's a digital
video
dude.
game. Yeah,
I might feel a
because-
little more guilty if it was an actual human being.
yeah. Just because we remind everyone that gun control is a big hot topic in the US at the moment.
Yes, it is.
So it's a video game. We'll never say it. Enough.
Exactly. All right, cool. Then you guys keep an eye out for Fire Emblems 3 Hopes next week. It is a Muso, whatever that means again. And we will see you guys next week.
All right.
See you next week. Bye bye.
Bye bye.